Elon Musk threatens watchdog Media Matters with a thermonuclear lawsuit for defamation. Let's learn a little bit more about this. All right, everyone, so let's dive a little deeper into this ongoing saga. Elon Musk, the real-life Tony Stark, who's got his figure in so many pies like Tesla and SpaceX, has stirred up quite the storm in the social media teapot with his acquisition and management of X, the platform that we once knew as Twitter. Now, of course, Musk is no stranger to controversy, but this time it looks like it could be a doozy. So after he took over X, he started making it a bastion of free speech. But here's where things start to get a little bit sticky. Some of the tweets that the platform started to allow were seen as anti-Semitic, and it didn't sit well with some watchdog groups. It was like a spark in a powder keg. Major advertisers who were super sensitive about brand image started to bolt from the platform, causing a revenue shortage at Twitter. We're talking about giants like IBM, Paramount, and Disney. These are not small-time players in the advertising world, and their collective step back meant trouble for X's ongoing revenue issues. Now entering the troubled waters is Media Matters, a notable and somewhat controversial watchdog group that leans very heavily on the liberal side of things and has dropped a bombshell report. In the report, they say, hey, we found some really nasty content on X, and guess what? Your ads are playing right next to it. So you can imagine how corporations are looking at this. Imagine being a corporation and finding out that your ad for your latest smartphone or other product is cozied up next to what someone has labeled as a white supremacist rant. It can be a brutal PR nightmare. Musk, for his part, who championed Twitter as a free speech bastion, has started to see red and perhaps exposed a different color to himself. He has claimed that Media Matters is actually playing dirty, however, and that they're creating a narrative by creating accounts specifically tailored to find the hateful content. So it's not that it's just being provided to anyone who looks for it, but rather they're going out of their way to try to find it. According to him, it's like finding a needle in the haystack, and they're making it look like the haystack is made of needles, when in reality they have simply used the equivalent of a high-power electromagnet to pull all the needles of an otherwise benign stack. Musk has tried to put things in perspective by pointing out that 5.5 billion ad impressions are shown daily, and only about 50 or so are problematic, even according to Media Matters report. It is a drop in the ocean, of course, but in the world of public opinion, especially to sensitive companies who look to groups like Media Matters for guidance, that drop can look like a much bigger tsunami. Media Matters' latest bombshell report certainly doesn't help, since Musk's takeover, X had already been on shaky grounds, although some of that was due to his predecessor's problems. Advertisers were already nervous because of Musk's idea of free speech seemed to include loosening the rails on content moderation and perhaps leading to a much more volatile environment, at least to the most sensitive corporations' ears. The fear was that this could lead to more hate speech floating around the interweb, and it wasn't just the advertisers who were spooked. Users who were watching this unfold, some of whom at least voted with their feet, at least according to initial public statements, although some of them have backed off. Turning our attention back to the immediate issue of Musk's so-called thermonuclear lawsuit, it's not just about defending X's reputation. It may very well turn out to be a battle cry for what Musk sees as the heart of democracy, the right to speak freely. He's painting Media Matters as the villain, accusing them of trying to stifle the fundamental right of freedom of speech and the marketplace of ideas. But of course, freedom of speech is a two-edged sword, because just as you can speak, others are allowed to speak too. And on the other side are those who see Musk's stance as enabling the spread of increasing hate, thus Media Matters entering the fray. But it wouldn't be a Musk story without the White House also stepping into the story, which of course, when the government gets involved, it involves all kinds of fun First Amendment issues. The White House, for its part, has been calling out Musk's Twitter as pushing anti-Semitic and racist hate, which seems pretty serious when it comes from one of the highest offices in the land, and of course raises serious freedom of speech concerns. It's not just a company spat anymore, it is a national conversation with governmental action and potentially court action in the mix. Musk, for his part, of course, is not just sitting back and letting these accusations sling by. He's been active, of course, as one would expect nothing less, saying that X has been proactive and that they've taken action when content breaks the rules. But the details are a little bit hazy. Musk saying one thing, Media Matters saying another. It is a war of words and of reputations. Media Matters enter into the fray is a huge deal because they're not just some small-time blog or other minor concern. Media Matters, for better or worse, is an organization with serious national clout. They've got reach and their reports are making waves. They've listed big brands that supposedly have their ads next to the controversial content, and these companies, for their part, do not seem to be taking the allegations lightly. Amidst all this, Musk's vision for the new X is being tested. Musk has owned the service for just over a year now and has rolled out a new subscription service, trying to pivot the platform to a model that depends less on ads in order to help facilitate his version of freedom of speech. It is a bold move, but it is turning a huge company battleship, which takes time, and right now the waters at X and Twitter are quite choppy. The legal side of all this, should it proceed in court, should be quite the thing to follow. Musk, of course, is no stranger to courtrooms, having famously battled the old execs to not be forced to take over Twitter, although he ultimately withdrew that lawsuit. But the new so-called Thermonuclear lawsuit is strong language, even coming from him. It's of course not clear where such a lawsuit would be filed, although San Francisco, where X is headquartered, or Washington, D.C., where Media Matters sets up shop, are principal targets, but this is anyone's guess. Musk's personal tweets, of course, have always been in the spotlight. With over 150 million followers, his words carry serious weight, and some of his recent tweets have raised eyebrows, with some adding fuel to this ongoing drama. He's been accused of amplifying divisive views, which doesn't help when you're trying to defend the platform against accusations of hosting what some label as hate speech. On the other side of the equation, Media Matters is, of course, for its part, staying firm. Media Matters has been calling Musk out, saying that Musk is not the free speech hero that he claims to be, but rather a bully who uses threats to silence the free speech he doesn't like, namely critics against himself and his services. And Media Matters is not pulling punch, saying that Musk himself did confirm that the ads in question ran alongside hateful content they flagged due to moderation action. This, for one, is shaping up to be more than just a mere business squabble. It is a saga that touches on some really fundamental issues about speech and the role of platforms in moderating that speech. It's about how businesses can align their values with their ad dollars, and it's about how a platform's policies can ripple out into society at large. Musk's vision for a free speech version of X is being put to the test, and the outcome could help redefine the social media landscape. It is a high-stakes drama, and we're all waiting to see what happens next. I've been Uncivil Law, and until later, my friends, I hope all is well. Cheers, my friends, and goodbye.